I caught a video recently that talks about the price, specifically the cost of maintenance of supercars. And there used to be a time when a supercar cost a few $100,000. Currently, they invariably cost more than $1 million. In fact, in most cases, several million. So I'd like to make the case for something a whole lot better than a supercar, something that does not pollute, does not isolate you from the road, and does not cost millions of dollars to buy or tens of thousands per year to maintain. Here is the original video. So the first one, the Koenigsegg, costs $8,000 to maintain per year. Is there anything cheaper? They go with the Pagani next. The Pagani costs almost $10,000 to maintain per year. And then there is this Ferrari. The Ferrari costs a lot more, 24 grand just to maintain. This does not include any kind of upgrades or replacements. This is just the oil changes and the maintenance required for the car. If you have a problem, if something breaks down, that's going to be extra. Here is the Bugatti, $25,000. Very similar to the Ferrari, but even a little bit more. And check this out. The last one is a Mercedes AMG. And this has some kind of a Formula One engine in it. In every 5,000 miles, you are supposed to spend close to $1 million just servicing it. Now you understand why the Formula One races are as expensive as they are. But this is really outrageous, even for a hypercar that costs millions. Let's look at the purchase price and some of the details of these cars. This is the LaFerrari. The price is $1.5 million, which is actually the cheapest one on this list. Years ago, many years ago, when Ferrari was sold to Fiat, it was already clear that they could not hand produce cars cheaply enough to make sense on the market. So they started to put mass-produced parts into the cars, which is probably continuing to the present day. It's not a 100% handmade car. Here is the Koenigsegg, the Swedish car. This is a whole lot more money. This is almost $4 million. I've never been particularly impressed by the looks of their cars, but this car is pretty nice. I like the wheels and the aerodynamic part of it, but we are coming up in price grievously. And this is the Bugatti. The Bugatti is close to $5 million, so even more expensive than the Koenigsegg. It has a really nice interior, no question, but you have to pay for it. I'm not sure if a passenger would fit in the rear. It looks like just a two-seater, really. And finally, here is the Mercedes. The Mercedes is actually not that much more than the rest of the cars. It's the maintenance that costs an insane amount of money. And the fact that they put a Formula One engine in it. Who would want to buy this car or race it? The 1,000 horsepower is actually not extraordinary. That is something you would get even from the Ferrari, and you could get at least 3 of those for the price of this one, not to mention the maintenance. Here is the most expensive one, the Pagani. This is fully handmade. Every piece of glass and metal and carbon fiber is hand fabricated. They only make a few pieces of cars in a year or so. They have to sell it for a lot of money. I don't think it's the most beautiful car I've ever seen. It's just because it's fully handmade, it is so unique. And it's remarkable that they still found the market for something this expensive. So let's look at the alternatives, the stuff that I'm interested in, and probably you, which is to have something that doesn't cost as much to purchase or to maintain, and gives you a kind of a race car sensation for a fraction of the money. Not to mention that you're not polluting. The wear on the road is practically nothing with these lightweight recumbents. And in general, you are helping society moving forward, because if everybody drove supercars, we would not have a planet for very much longer. This one can be configured for $4,000 or $5,000, depending upon what configurations you want. You can fit a fairly big chain wheel. It's also unique because it is a front wheel driven recumbent bike. So you can have a big chain wheel, but you can also have a roll-off in the rear. And the gear range on the roll-off is just about the widest, depending on what you have in the front. This chain wheel is very easy to replace with something bigger because it does not seem to collide with the frame itself. If I wanted to build a bike that can pedal at 75 miles an hour, this would probably be the starting point for me. And there is also a front fairing that you can buy from the company to make it more car-like. The rear box is the most important as far as aerodynamics are concerned, and so that's why you see the boxes everywhere. This is just a custom built, fully faired two-wheel Velomobile that they made out of it. This is not available for sale. And there is also a folding option for the Toxi. Make sure to check the links below because I'm providing links for all of these items. So if you want to travel with it, if it's not necessary for you to take the box, then you can do that. You can travel with it pretty well. They weigh close to 30 pounds, so it's definitely heavier than, for example, a Brompton. This is another great ride if you want a kind of a supercar experience without having a car. And I think that's really the way of the future because it's way more fun coming down on a downhill at 50 or 60 miles an hour on a bicycle with the wind hitting your face than to do 150 miles an hour where on the I-95 illegally somewhere on a big boring highway. This is way more fun. This is about $9,000 if you want everything. But the nice thing is you can just buy the Recumbent at first for about $5,000 and save up the money for the soft shell later on. So they allow you to make your purchase gradually, so to speak. It's worth looking at the Lightning's specs, especially if you look at the crankset. It goes up to 56 and it has 3 speeds in the front, so it's really an excellent climber as well. It has asymmetrical wheels, so the rear wheel is close to standard size. In fact, and the rear cassette goes down to an 11, which is also quite fast. So you can go very fast on the downhills without a hub gear set and still climb because of what you have in the front. Here is one 3-wheeler that you might want to look at. I'm not too crazy about 3-wheelers that are not Velomobiles simply because you are powering one wheel and you have 2 dead wheels in the front. Just in case you're interested, this is where we get the 1.5 wide tires for the Bromptons because this wheel is the same 349 millimeter 6 1/4 wheel that you see on the Brompton. In fact, the chain wheel is the same custom chain wheel I have on my bike. It is 60 tooth and so pretty fast. But in the rear with the 16-inch wheel or 16 1/4, you really would need hub gears to get the gear ranges up to take it downhill really fast. This one with the external cassette might be able to pedal at 40 miles an hour on a downhill or 35, so it's not going to be that fast. I guess the advantage of a trike is the stability, and it's very low, so the aerodynamics are not bad. If I owned a bike like this, I would try to get a custom-made zipper fair on the bike to make it faster. I think that would help. Finally, I want to say a few words about the Australian tri-sled. These people are mostly known for really cheap plastic Velomobiles. But on the other hand, they also make these amazing racing machines. This one is only $7,000. The ground clearance is practically nothing. It's 30 millimeters. 30 millimeters might be 2 inches. So any pothole is going to scratch it up. And that's the bad part. This machine was made for smooth roads for racing. But if weekend fun is the issue here and you have a racing track or someplace where the road quality is really good, then this could be a pretty cheap way of getting into recumbent racing. In fact, Velomobile racing. This chain wheel here looks like a 70 tooth, so they really have an insanely big chain wheel, and that means you can pedal awfully fast. but I don't have the exact number. They make no claims as to how many teeth you have on this chain wheel. It just looks like a 70 for me. I want to show this one from the same company. This is also a tri-sled. This one has more of a ground clearance than the previous one for $17,000. But unfortunately, you have these aerodynamic molds over the wheels, which means it's still going to be very easy to scratch it up. I mean, you hit a speed bump on this thing, the bottom is going to be destroyed. So even this one is only for very smooth roads, and it's based on a record breaker machine they made about a decade ago. This one got 74 miles an hour on flat ground just with human power. You can see that they are using a camera to observe the road, so there is no way you could use this in a civilian environment on the road, because here you can see out, but this kind of a camera setup is really only for breaking records, not for common use. And this is not sold on the market anyway, but this one is, and I mean, it's a consideration for somebody who just likes racing, and it's certainly millions of dollars cheaper than most of the supercars we have looked at. This is it for today. Make sure to check the links below, and if you want to power some of these things, what I would do would be definitely to put in an electric setup, an electric kit. This one would take it. And perhaps the advantage of a trike is that it can carry a lot more weight than a bicycle. So you are increasing the weight carrying capacity by 50%. Same thing with this one. I would put an electric motor in the rear. If you wonder how I built my own machine, you can get my book. You can use the same skills to upgrade this one as well. I bet with a good crank and a powerful setup, I could pedal at 70 miles an hour, maybe even faster. And then there is this one, the Tuxi. This is probably my favorite on the list, partly because it's foldable and it could be kept in an apartment. It's very easy to move, and because of that, and also it's a front wheel drive. So I could put an electric kit in the rear, and the battery could be easily hidden in this big box that they have, which is a dream come true because it's very portable. It could be very fast. I probably could pedal at 70 miles an hour. I could upgrade the chainring to something even bigger if I wanted to. This would be my favorite choice of all of these bikes. All right, this is it for the current video, and I'll see you in the next one.
I'll be back.